What's up guys, Gabriel Varga here. Today we are talking about the uppercut. My 3 favorite ways to land the uppercut is the topic of conversation. Now, if you've been trying to throw it and you've been sticking with jab, cross, uppercut, and you're going, oh, I'm not having success, or I try and throw a couple jabs and I try and get the uppercut off, I'm going to explain to you why that is potentially not working and why the combinations or the setups that I'm going to show you will work much better. That is the topic of conversation today, guys. Alright guys, the first thing that I want to point out when we are talking about an uppercut is understanding distance. If you are somebody who's trying to go jab, cross, uppercut, you might be doing something wrong already. Let's keep in mind that a jab and a cross is very long. If I try to throw my uppercut from here, assuming my opponent doesn't move his feet, I go 1, 2, I try to throw my uppercut, I'm either throwing and not landing, or I'm extending very far, which is a harder uppercut to land. And the only other real alternative is I have to either throw my shots and move my feet, or I have to step in, throw jam punches to then get my uppercut off. Now, I'm not saying I don't utilize these as well. I absolutely do. I'll for sure be moving around, jump in and go 1, 2, 3. A lot of times using the uppercut as a fake to lead into something else, but there are better ways to land the uppercut. And before we move on, guys, make sure whenever you're throwing your uppercut, you're looking at a couple things. Number one, when I come up, my elbow is directly below my fist. Don't get wonky with it. Don't let your uppercut come up like that. Directly below, and don't try and put too much energy into it, like I'm gonna hit and pull right through. Make sure you stop your uppercut. If I'm shadow boxing, I don't need to go overhead level. I'm just gonna come through there, which means if I hit, I get up 3 or 4 inches before I draw back. That way you are less likely to get countered. And guys, before we move on to 3 of my favorite ways to land the uppercut, if you guys haven't already, make sure you get subscribed and give the video a like. Help me out. It helps the channel so much when you guys do that. Let's move on here. So landing the uppercut very often is all about creating an opportunity, creating an opening. If I come with a straight punch, let's say you throw a straight punch at me, how am I going to defend? I'm either going to come here, or I'm going to turtle shell up. Either way does not leave the uppercut extremely open. It's not a shot from here where you go, oh yeah, look at that uppercut's really wide open. But the hook, when you lead with a hook and somebody goes like this, or they come up with their elbow, or whatever their way of blocking is, they are definitely leaving the chin open. So a very, very simple way is to use what I just learned recently is called the gazelle punch, where I'm from out here and I spring in, or I can just do this from stationary. Let's say I was at this jab range and I decide to maybe move in very quickly and I throw my hook. Either way, I'm transitioning from my hook to my uppercut. So if I'm out here, I'm moving around, I take a little step in and I come 1, 2. Right from there, if I can draw his hand out, make him think that, oh my gosh, I need to block the hook, the uppercut will be open. I just need to make sure that I'm not going 1, 2. That's too slow. There's too much time for him to block. It needs to be quick. I step on the hook, I close the gap, and then the uppercut comes right after. And then what you do from there is totally up to you. You might follow up with another shot. You might completely disconnect. You might roll out. But that is my first and one of my favorite ways to land the uppercut. Send the punch off to the side and follow right up the middle. Those opposing angles of attack make it much more difficult to anticipate and block the uppercut. Setup number 2 is something Canelo does so beautifully. I've tried to implement it. I've done it many times in sparring with success. We come from the body shot, but unlike the last one where we come off the opposite hand, we use the same hand. So we come 1, 2, or other side 1, 2. Again, why this one works so well is when somebody sees the left body hook coming, they're gonna come down for a drop, or they're gonna drop their elbow. Either way, this chin is wide open. Of course, your opponent can block down here and have the other arm ready to block. That's what they should be doing. They might not have time to come from here to here, but they definitely have time to block 1 and 2. But if you are advanced enough, if you are quick enough, if your opponent is not as skilled as you, coming from 1 to 2 or 1 to 2 is fantastic. The downside for most people is they get very scared throwing body shots because they feel like they're going to get countered. You get even more scared when you use the same hand 2 times in a row and your head is open for that much longer. That is a long time to go 1, 2 and have somebody not counter you. The key is to make sure your first punch has power. If I just tap and get countered, it's done. But if I hit the guy hard and then I come up the middle, that's definitely going to give me that time to get the shot off without getting countered. Setup number 3, guys, and this is something that you would have seen maybe Sugar Ray Leonard do in the past. It's something that I don't do in my fights because usually in my fights I am trying very, very hard not to get hit. I'm focused very much on defense, but this is still a fantastic fake and follow-up. We let our hands, and normally if our opponent's right here, we're attacking here, I just let my hands sort of fling out to the side, moving around, and you're hoping what your opponent's going to do is they're looking at you and they're like, oh, and when they look off to the side, that's when you come up the middle. I've had fun just, goofing around in class, you're sparring, you're moving around, you're like, oh, bam. You're surprised how often that works. It's ridiculous. You take a hand, you just loop it, and right around here, you just step forward with the jab. Something about the timing throws people off. Well, this also works. You're moving around, you throw a couple normal shots, you're just bouncing, whatever you're doing, and then just go here, and then up the middle. Or you're moving around here, up the middle. So if I'm on Bob, I'm touching, doing my thing, and then all of a sudden, or to the other side, there's touch, bounce, it doesn't matter which angle you come from. Both of them are ridiculous. Both of them seem like they shouldn't work. And realistically, you might not pull this off against a high-level person. If you are fighting somebody and you have more skills, you can get away with these type of techniques, as goofy as they are, because generally you're already beating them at the basics, you're outscoring them, defensively you're better, so you start throwing stupid stuff out to the side and then coming up the middle, and it's the timing that is very key. It's not 1, 2, it's 1, 2. Give them something to look at and then catch them on that half beat with the uppercut. So timing, instead of, is more like this. Very quick. Or the other way, I was moving around, I'm touching and giving serious shots, look, and up. These are not the only 3 setups that I use for the uppercut. These are just 3 that I wanted to share with you guys today. 3 that I have a decent amount of success with. Keep in mind though, the basics, stuff like jab, cross, uppercut, hook, uppercut, stuff like that is always the bread and butter. That's the stuff that you should spend most of the time on. And then you can come to the fancy things, these ones which are a little harder. The first one that we went through, that's a bread and butter one. That's just the basics, which is gonna work so many times. Hook uppercut, when you get good at that. Body shot uppercut, when you get good at that, stick your hand out to the side and then come up the middle. But there's so many ways to land the uppercut. If you can get good at this shot, it is a killer. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you haven't already, get subscribed. It helps the channel out so much. I really appreciate it. Guys, train hard, and I'll see you back here soon for another video.